I bet you're wondering what's in this box. You know, over the next several weeks, people will spend a lot of time and energy buying presents. Relatives are asking for Christmas lists so they can get their shopping done. The commercials on TV are rolling out their latest toy temptations to get children drooling. Even the shopping malls and discount stores are busy stocking Christmas decorations just in case you feel like getting a jump start on your seasonal lawn ornaments and light displays. You know, with all this Christmas hoopla, it's easier than ever to lose focus on why we celebrate Christmas in the first place. That's why we want to spend this month talking about generosity, making someone's day by giving something away. You see, people love to give gifts, especially at this time of year. But giving gifts is just something we do no matter what the occasion or for no real reason at all. But I wonder why. Maybe it's because by giving, we're tapping into what it means to be created in God's image. There's something about giving that reflects God's character to those around us. And this month, we hope kids get wrapped up in others as they show them how much God has been so generous toward us. You know, there's a danger in getting so wrapped up in ourselves or so wrapped up in our things that we miss the essence of the season, and that is Jesus. God has been so generous to us through the gift of His Son that it's only natural that in return, we show that generosity to others. Generosity changes us when we learn how to give the way God gives. This month, we'll look at 4 great stories from the New Testament that can help kids develop a better perspective about how to stay wrapped up in the right thing and show generosity. We start our month on generosity in Luke chapter 12 with a parable Jesus told about a rich man who was wrapped up in the wrong thing. He had a lot of stuff that he kept accumulating over time. He just kept building bigger and bigger barns to collect his food. He failed, though, to think about the people around him. And he also failed to think about eternity. So for us, it's important that we don't get wrapped up in our stuff. Next, we'll eavesdrop on a conversation that Jesus has with a rich ruler that Luke records in chapter 18 of his gospel. This man was so wrapped up in his stuff that he couldn't let go of what didn't really matter in favor of what matters most, a relationship with Jesus. Through this story, we'll see that we should get wrapped up in the right thing. We want kids to get wrapped up in Christmas, so it also makes sense that we will also spend some time this month talking about the greatest gift ever given. We will celebrate the story of Jesus' birth to pause and remember that God gave His only Son the ultimate example of generosity so we could have a personal relationship with Him. We'll finish the month discovering how the wise men show generosity toward Jesus. In the beginning of Matthew's gospel, we read about the men who came to visit Jesus. They went above and beyond to show the world how important Jesus is and give Him their precious gifts. We hope that kids see that we should get wrapped up in giving, not just at Christmas, but all year long. You know, we hope these stories will help you unpack this principle of generosity for a child so that they will grow up and understand what it means to show God's character to the world. We just think that if children understand how to give, it will not only change the world around them, it will change them as well. It can happen, especially if parents and leaders will give kids a specific opportunity to act in a generous way. It happened for a kid named Seth. I wish you could meet Seth. He was a 5th grader who taught us all a very important lesson a few years ago. Seth had a reputation for being unkind or unruly in class. He didn't pay attention and he got in trouble for being a little disrespectful. Until one Sunday. Seth's small group was challenged to pack a shoebox with simple things like toothpaste, toothbrushes, socks, school supplies, and small toys to send to a child in another country. And as a result, something happened in Seth's life. He decided that he would raise money so that he could pack his own shoebox and use his own money to buy the gifts to stuff inside. We got a letter about Seth leading the way to support this giving project. According to his small group leaders who wrote us the letter, there was a radical transformation in Seth's life. As a matter of fact, the leaders said his attitude changed, his attention span changed, even the way he participated in group was just different. That's because generosity changes us when we learn to give the way God gives. Our memory verse is a great reminder of that. 1 Timothy 6:18 says, "Be rich in good deeds, be generous and willing to share." That kind of redefines what it means to be rich. In other words, you're not generous because you're rich. You're rich because you're generous. Ultimately, if we're going to raise children who understand what it means to be rich, we've got to teach them to give. We've got to teach them to share. We've got to teach them to put others first, to make sure they're not wrapped up in themselves, but instead are wrapped up in others and what it means to give to them. So, what's in the presents? Well, that all depends. What goes in here really is up to you this Christmas. It depends on what you are wrapped up in. It's our prayer that what happens in your church and in your family this season will send a different kind of message to people in your community and people around the world about who God is, about how generous He is, and how important it is for all of us to let generosity show and how we are wrapped up in others.